I did not expect myself to like this gaming mouse all that much because I just looked at it and I was like, this is some generic stuff. Why was there so much hype for it? But even in 2023, the HyperX Pulsefire Haste wireless is a gaming mouse you definitely should consider, especially if you've got medium to large hands trying to do a claw or fingertip grip, because it has one of the nicest, most pleasant shapes ever. And while it doesn't really have like a super fancy, super specific shape that forces you into a particular grip, the fact that it's a very flexible, open book, open to interpretation, and you can use whatever grip style you like is something that I really do like about the Pulsefire Haste wireless. As far as my shape goes, this is something that I really like. And the key here is its simplicity. There's grooves on the clicks, there's grooves on the sides. These grooves are gentle, subtle, and nuanced, and they extend for the length of the mouse, so you can put your finger anywhere on the grooves and still find a comfortable spot to rest. And as a result, if your hands are the right size for this gaming mouse, you can seemingly use any grip on this and still feel like you're at home. I can palm grip this mouse, no problem. I can claw grip this mouse, no problem. And I can fingertip grip this mouse, no problem. For context, my hands are 18 cm by 10 cm, so make of that information what you will. But yeah, I just find that it's one of the most comfortable shapes ever. I think a good way to describe this shape is that it's a Razer Viper, a little bit narrower, and instead of tapering upwards and outwards like the Viper, it tapers inwards as it goes upwards, more like a wedge, because it is a wedge-shaped gaming mouse, which I totally like. Also, compared to the very similar looking SteelSeries Aerox 3 wireless, this is a lot more pleasant of a shape in my opinion, because it doesn't have these really wide arches on the SteelSeries that force your fingers out wide, which makes it really uncomfortable because you have to hold your mouse like this. I like a gaming mouse to not force me into a particular grip. I want my gaming mouse to just allow me to grip however I like and still be comfortable. I don't want to have to conform to a gaming mouse. I want it to be the other way around, and the Pulsefire Haste is exactly that, which is why I love the shape of this so much. In fact, it actually makes me a bit sad that there doesn't seem to be plans by HyperX to make a updated version of this that's more premium with latest gen specs and like 50 grams weight. And if you're watching this in the very off chance, HyperX, please make a upgraded higher end Pulsefire Haste. But then there's other parts to a mouse as well, like the clicks. So the clicks in here are pretty good. I'll actually have to say that. They're not the lightest, but they're also very crisp and very snappy with no pre-travel. They're also pretty consistent throughout the entirety of the mouse clicks, so no matter how you hold it and where you click it, it's going to feel the same. Excellent. The scroll wheel is nice and it's really recessed into the body, which makes it very convenient. You don't have to lift your finger up too much to move it on top, which I totally appreciate. And the thumb buttons are really crisp and snappy as well. The only problem is they do have a bit of a spongy post travel, but the lack of pre-travel and the actual actuation is very nice and very snappy as well. I also really like how long these thumb buttons are. They're very easy to reach from anywhere in the mouse, so it's like not a hassle at all whatsoever, unlike say on the Asus Harp Ace where the buttons are really small, so you have to be very accurate with pressing the thumb buttons, which I wasn't a fan of. The mice feet are nice, and there is an extra in the box, so if you want to peel them off or you want to replace them, you can, which is great. And they're pretty slippery actually. I would say they're more slippery than even the Viper V2 Pro. Even though this mouse is heavier than the Viper V2 Pro, it seems to glide a bit more smoothly, which is great. And also, if you think the coating of this mouse, which is this matte plastic, is a little too slippery, if you have wet or oily hands, it definitely might feel slippery. You can actually use the grip tape in the box to add some extra grip. So I would definitely say grip isn't a problem with this gaming mouse. Awesome as well. On the bottom, you find the sensor as well, which I really say has to be the weakness of this gaming mouse. The sensor of this gaming mouse was what pissed off a lot of fans who were excited for this release. It's just a Pixart PMW3335, which is the same sensor you find in the wired Pulsefire. And considering it took a whole year for them to make a wireless version, people expected at least a better sensor like a 3370. There is nothing wrong with the 3335. The problem with the 3335 was that depending on which manufacturer and which mouse you got it in, there were some implementation issues, and that was present here as well. But the issue was apparently patched out in firmware. I'm not too confident to say that that isn't an issue at all, and that's something that you have to keep in mind. But I think that the sensor in here, it's not the best ever, definitely. Maybe in terms of click latency and wireless performance, it might not keep up with Viper V2 Pro, but considering that this is pretty cheap of a mouse, I won't be too harsh on it. For the average gamer, it should be more than enough and should be plenty fine. So yeah, no problems here with the wireless performance or the sensor tech. The battery life on this is pretty good as well. I could use it 4 to 5 days straight without a single issue. So no issues whatsoever. But if you're someone that is, running the RGB at max brightness, unlike me, then you might not be able to have as much performance as well. But yeah, at 61 grams, it's actually reasonably light. Some people were pretty unhappy with the weight, saying it's too heavy, but I would say that it's fine. It definitely is light enough for most people to have a very, very excellent experience and have a very, strain-free experience on their forearms and wrists. As for the weight distribution of the Pulsefire Haste, it's actually pretty good. I find that it's pretty balanced. It doesn't feel like it's tipping over to the front or the back, and I really do like that. Maybe there's a bit of a bias of weight towards the back, but nothing too significant that feels very off-putting, and it feels very comfortable in the hand. As for build quality, this mouse is really nice. In fact, despite having holes, it's extremely well built and very rigid. I think it's like a PVT material, that's why, but very solid feeling gaming mouse, which I totally appreciate. All in all then, the HyperX Pulsefire Haste Wireless. Is it still a good purchase in 2023? I would say that if you do like the shape, and the shape is really, really nice, and it's the right size for you, it's definitely a gaming mouse you should be considering. It is very reasonably priced these days, it goes for 100 Singapore dollars, but it often is on discount for 60 or 70 depending on who you buy it from, since it's a bit of an older model. So, would you buy one? Would you consider one? Or do you think it's too old and the sensor is too crap for your needs? Tell me down below in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinion, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be literally tomorrow.